Hello and welcome to the April 3rd edition of the Thursday Night Thunder podcast with AJ and MMK. This is episode 16 of the series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair, and tonight on the most hardcore program on the internet, Michael and I will once about the world of modern motorsports.
Rick Ware Racing earned its third victory in less than 24 hours when NHRA Top Fuel driver Clay Millican drove the RWR-prepared Mighty Firebreaker Plus dragster to a final round victory in the Lucas Oil NHRA Winter National Sunday at In-N-Out Pomona Drag Strip. Millican defeated Tony Stewart with an impressive .038 of a second reaction time to take his 8th career Top Fuel win in the NHRA Mission Food Drag Racing Series. 5 of those victories have come since joining RWR in late 2022, with Millican's prior win earned in the sport's biggest event, last year's Cornwell Quality Tools NHRA US Nationals over Labor Day weekend at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Millican's road to the final came by defeating Sean Reed, Jasmine Salinas, and number one qualifier Brittany Force, and his thundering win against Stewart bookended an impressive weekend for RWR. On Saturday night at the Sequoia Sword Track in Georgia, RWR's Progressive American Flat Track riders Brian Bauman and Chase Satoff won their respective. Bauman won the Mission AFT Super Twins race to score his 27th career victory in the class and his 5th with RWR, as the two-time Grand National champion came to RWR in 2023. In a prelude to Bauman's win, Satoff triumphed in AFT singles presented by a kicker. The victory was Satoff's first win in RWR and the 4th of his career. He joined RWR last year after spending 2022 through 2024 as an independent AFT singles rider.
After an early exit at the NHRA Arizona Nationals 1 week prior, Top Fuel racer Sean Reed was looking to the NHRA Winter Nationals to be a rebound race that would put his Reed trucking and excavating team solidly back into the top 10 on the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series leaderboard. Unfortunately, Reed saw his hopes for a second 2025 trophy go up in smoke during the first round of eliminations on Sunday morning at In-N-Out Burger Pomona Drag Strip. Reed opened the weekend with a tire-smoking run, but quickly bounced back during Friday's second qualifying session, powering his 11,000-horsepower machine to the finish line in 3.698 seconds at 331 miles per hour to move up from 13th to 8th in the qualifying order. Like many Nitro teams struggling to adapt to the cold weather, Reed experienced a loss of traction during qualifying 3 on Saturday, but his Rob Wendland guided team closed out the weekend's qualifying rounds with another solid pass, this time posting a 3.724 ET at 333, almost 334 miles per hour.
Starting from the number 10 spot, and with new partner ATRO Motorsports on board, or ATRO Motor Parts on board, for the second event, Reed lined up opposite Clay Millican in the first round of eliminations on Sunday. His race day was short-lived, however, as his machine lost traction as soon as Reed stood on the throttle, while Millican posted a 3.874 to advance. Langdon advanced to farthest of Team Toyota in Sunday afternoon's NHRA Winter Nationals at the In-N-Out Pomona Drag Strip. Making the semifinals in Top Fuel, Langdon, who won the Mission Foods number 2 fast hashtag 2 fast 2 tasty challenge on Saturday, had 2 solid runs to begin eliminations, including a 3.668 laps time in round 1, before falling to Tony Stewart in the semifinals. Langdon's effort on Sunday helped to extend his Top Fuel points lead heading into Las Vegas in 2 weeks.
Doug Coletta was the other Toyota Top Fuel dragster to advance out of the first round. running a career best speed in round one of 338.34 miles per hour. The Toyota GR Supra funny cars of Ron Capps, J.R. Todd, and Bobby Bode were eliminated in round one on Sunday. Next up for the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series is the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals, April 11th through the 13th at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Progressive American Flat Track returns to action on Saturday, April 26th at the Ventura Short Track in Ventura, California. Meanwhile, the NASCAR Cup Series doesn't skip a beat. It heads to Darlington, South Carolina Raceway for the Goodyear 400 on Sunday.
Our guest tonight is Camrie Caruso. Camrie currently competes in the NHRA's Pro Stock division. She's the second female to not only compete in the class full-time, but also win. They compete in multiple markets across the lower 48 states, with a television package with Fox Sports that averages 1.8 million in live viewership, with a whopping 2.2 million in replays. Now, Camrie's supposed to join the program, but she is standing by, hopefully, to be on here in a few moments. Should be a good time talking to her. I'm very happy she reached out to us, and it's good to give a chance to have some more NHRA coverage on this show. Now, going into next week, we're going to be heading down to the Homestead Miami Speedway for the FIA Formula E series. I've got a couple different events scheduled for next week to cover that. Possibly on Wednesday, I'm going down there for the DHL event, which talks a little bit more about how they transport the cars. But I'm definitely going to be heading down to an event with Jaguar and Dow Chemical. That'll be interesting because Dow not only partners with Jaguar in the Formula E series, but also with in NASCAR with the Austin Dillon in his car. So that'll be interesting to see how they do that and what the similarities are and the differences, of course, between the two series. They'll be able to get a little bit into that, and I'll, of course, have coverage of that on the show a little bit next week, a lot the following week, because I'm going to have some information about that. I also have to hang out a little bit with the Maserati team next weekend, probably on Saturday next week on the 12th of April. So I'm going to have some coverage of that, some sharing some stuff with you guys about that as well. That'll actually have some news coverage information for next week's show. I'm going to go ahead and go through the news conference that was held this past Tuesday, and have some highlights of that for you guys on next week's program. Now, I'm really looking forward to the race there. It's been 10 years now since Formula E has competed in Miami. Now, it means it's 10 years. So I'm looking forward to the race. It should be really cool to go down there. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing a little bit of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Looking forward to seeing how they do their hospitality there compared to NASCAR. I've been to the NASCAR hospitality section in the past, the VIP thing there. So I think the VIP thing for Formula E should be interesting. I think it's a good track there at Homestead. Should be really good for the Formula E cars. We'll see how that goes. I don't particularly like the way the layout is for spectators at the event. It doesn't look like there'd be a lot more than the grandstands, the main grandstand access. But we'll see how that is. I think there might be access in the infield, but it looks like it's rather limited. I do understand why they do that at times, but I think they should open up a little bit more. In the past for the IndyCar race, they definitely opened up quite a bit more. And I think that was a better show. Plus, for the Farah races, if anybody's gone down there for the Farah races, you know that the whole infield is opened up for that race, and that makes for a really good experience wandering around. So we'll see how that goes for the Formula E race. And again, Caruso, who races in Pro Stock. She should be on the program momentarily. Hopefully, she is going to be with us tonight, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more to her about the Pro Stock division, the difference between Pro Stock cars, and of course, the stock car that you drive around every day. I know there's a huge difference, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. And well as some more about the NHRA, possible expansion of the NHRA series in the future, and things like that. Again, I'm really looking forward to the May as well. I'm reaching out now to a few different teams from Formula One to try and get them on the program, as well as get some extra access for you guys to hear a little bit more about how the Formula One season goes. I did run a few Formula One articles this past weekend on the Motorsports News and Views page we found at motorsportsnewsandviews.wordpress.com. Be sure to check that out. I will have a lot of Formula One coverage going into next month, into May, and again, I've got a lot of up both this weekend as well as after the race, and a little bit next weekend. It depends on how well it goes. I will be doing a little bit of social media things, of course, pictures and that sort of thing. You can find that on Instagram at Faborplums. That's FABORPLUMBS. I'll be posting at least a few pictures from Homestead there on the page. I'll also be, of course, doing a recap of the event as well as some pre-race things. Mostly, I think, from Maserati, although I will be doing a few things from Dow, of course, as well, for the Jaguar team. Be sure to check that out if you're interested in Formula E racing, and you really should be. It is the future. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that next week, and a little bit more about that shortly as well on this program. Again, we're standing by for Camrie Caruso. Hopefully, she'll be joining us in the next couple of minutes. Did you have a chance to watch any of the racing coverage this past weekend?
I didn't watch any NASCAR. I watched a slight little bit of NHRA and Supercross. I did watch Supercross, but other than that, no, I didn't really. I did see a couple of the kind of highlights for the NASCAR weekend. Did you watch any of the NASCAR stuff this weekend?
A teeny bit, not really that much, a little bit. I did. We have to mention, of course, the big news in the world of motorsports coverage, of course, is that Racer Magazine is taking over for the MAV TV people. So now Racer will be the once again the preeminent racing authority with the magazine and the YouTube coverage, but also TV coverage. How do you feel about that?
I think I don't know. I really liked the magazine. I really liked their magazine, but I don't know because I hope they just keep the variety. That's all. There's nothing like staying up at 2 in the morning and catching some random sprint car race on the channel. So I just hope they keep the variety. That would be nice.
I think that'll be a good thing too. I also think that they possibly, well, with Racer taking over from MAV there's some other stuff might be a little bit more current because I know the past, especially in the past few years, a lot of the MAV stuff hasn't exactly been the most recent races. They've been races you probably haven't seen before, but they haven't been the most recent. So for a few years ago and that sort of thing. I'd hope that they try and bring it up a little bit quicker, have some more current uh, do some different coverage and not only expand their coverage online but also expand the coverage on TV. Plus, encourage do some different stuff on the for the publication there. Um, I've had a chance in the past to talk to some of the people from Racer Magazine. They're great guys. Marshall Pruitt is really cool. Last year, of course, I had the little bit of a viral moment where I got to have my picture taken at the 24 Hours of Daytona, and he actually reposted that worldwide. That was pretty cool. So that's always neat to get to see some of the people from Racer, and I know they've been expanding their online presence on YouTube and that sort of thing. I think some of that was in preparation for their new TV package. So I think that'll be cool, and I think it'll be a overall a good thing for racing, and I think it'll be interesting considering MAV TV has really expanded not only with their channels they're affiliated with cable and their but they also have streaming services. Plus, they have the channels that are affiliated with all the different, like Pluto TV and Google TV and all that. Cool. I think it'll be an interesting thing. I think it'll be good for and it'll definitely be good for more people to see more things, and it should be good for the racers as well. Uh, Another racing thing we can touch on briefly. Did you see the preview for the F1 movie with Brad Pitt that was dropped online the other day?
I did. I did see the preview, and it looks interesting. I'll give it that. Is it something that you put? I mean, I'll have to watch it. I'll have to watch it. But is it something you're gonna race to the movie theater to catch?
Yes, I think it might be. I know that the last auto racing movie that I went to see, of course, was the one Gran Turismo, which was based loosely on the competition that was held several years ago with Nissan and the Gran Turismo video game thing there, and getting the people who are video gamers to get behind the wheel of actual race cars. I thought that was cool. I actually enjoyed that one. So I think Formula One would be cool. The F1 movie with Brad Pitt and Javier Bardem and other people like that. Uh, I'm curious to see how the coverage from Daytona is, because I know he was there in Daytona for roughly 2 weeks, filming the movie there last year. So, and I know that the first 10 minutes of the movie anyway are entirely Daytona. So I think I have a clue as to how they're going to run it, where they're going to kind of make it a going around to Daytona, the older kind of washed up guy, and they pick him up again to go to Formula One to help out a new driver and all that. So, and there's a little bit of truth to that, not much, but a little bit of truth to that, where they pick up the older drivers sometimes come back and do that sort of thing. Um, but it should be really good, and I'm hoping it's really good. I don't know. I'm hoping it is. I think the money they put into it is good. The fact in Daytona for a few weeks, the fact that they're going to feature the cars from the 24 Hours of Daytona, plus they're going to feature some a former restaurant that I used to really hang out in there in Daytona. Every time we were up to the New Smyrna Beach area, I went to the a restaurant that has it's really good for breakfast and sometimes dinner. That's going to be featured at least a little bit in the Formula One race, the Formula One movie there. So that was cool. That restaurant unfortunately burned down shortly, but it'll be cool to see it on the big screen there. For anybody who's a fan of the Papa's restaurant in New Smyrna Beach, or the former Papa's there, you want to see it on the big screen. It should be kind of cool to see what they did to it. Unfortunately, Miss Caruso is not yet on the show here, but let me put you guys on a short break here to find a good audio effect that I can add for a second and see if she's going to be here. Let's hold off for one moment here. See if we do a countdown and see if she magically appears. Here we go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, that didn't work. Anyway, it looks like she hasn't logged into the studio yet, but hopefully she'll be here in a moment. Let's go ahead and move on with the script for a second. Give me one moment. When Josh Herrin won the 2013 AMA Superbike Championship, he didn't get the chance to run the big number one the following season, as he was whisked overseas for a rather miserable season in the Moto2 World Championship this coming weekend at Barber Motorsports Park. That all changes when Herrin and his Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati Panigale V4R will don the number one plate as the defending MotoAmerica Superbike champions. It's highly anticipated 2025 season. Based on his performance a year ago, Herrin will start the season as the favorite to defend his MotoAmerica Superbike title. And why not?
Herrin won last year's championship by a whopping 55 points after putting together a season that included 6 wins and 13 total podium finishes. His season started slowly with 5th and 9th place finishes in the 2 races at the Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Herrin earned his first podium of the young season in the first of 3 races at Barber Motorsports Park, but he followed that up with a crash in race 2 and a 4th place finish in race 3. Still, after 5 races, Herrin was 6th and 48 points behind early season leader Cameron Beaubier. Then he went on a tear with podiums in 12 of the next 15 races. Herrin's main rival a year ago will likely be his main rival again. Tytler's Cycle Racing Beaubear, the five-time MotoAmerica Superbike champion. Beaubear looked to be headed for title number 6 when he crashed out of the wet first race at Road America, smashing his heel and forcing him out of the next 3 races. He tried to come back at Ridge Motorsports Park, but he wasn't physically ready, and he came out of the round in Washington with just 8 points to show for it.
A healthy Beaubear won 3 races after that match to Heron's 6 victories, but he couldn't overcome the fact that he failed to score points in 6 of the 20 races. Bobby Fong finished third in last year's championship, highlighted by a pair of victories at Brainerd International Raceway. His speed and newfound factory ride for 2025 on the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha Racing YZF R1, alongside 3-time MotoAmerica Superbike champion Jake Gagne.
Gagne, meanwhile, is hoping to bounce back from a horrid 2024 season that saw him win just 1 race and ultimately call it quits as his arm pump problems continued to cause him woes. Gagne will return to action and is hopeful that his health is back to normal. If it is, there is no reason why he can't challenge for a 4th title. Sean Dillon Kelly had a breakout rookie season in the MotoAmerica Superbike Championship, taking his first career Superbike win while earning 6 additional podiums. He ended the year 4th on his top pro racing BMW M1000RR, but then the rug was pulled out from under him as the team's major sponsor pulled out, leaving Kelly without a ride.
That didn't last long as Kelly got the call to return to the Vision Wheel MF4 X-Star Suzuki team, for which he won the 2021 Supersport title. Kelly will ride one of the 2 Suzuki 1000R under the M4 awning, with his old Supersport rival Richie Escalante returning to the team after injuries forced him to miss 12 races in 2025. When he did come back, Escalante earned his first career Superbike podium at the Circuit of the Americas. The Suzuki-mounted duo should make for a formidable team. With the support of American Honda, Hayden Gillum is hoping that focusing solely on the MotoAmerica Superbike Championship will bring the results he knows he's capable of. Riding under the Real Steel Honda banner, Gillum should be a factor. Big surprise to see him and his Honda CBR 1000 RRR SP sneak into the top 5 in the title chase.
2-time MotoAmerica Superbike winner and 2-time MotoAmerica Supersport champion, JD Beach will be the second rider in the Real Steel Honda team, though Beach will focus on bringing Honda another Stock 1000 championship while also competing for the MotoAmerica Superbike Cup. Jones Honda's Ashton Yates is returning for another season on the team's Honda CBR 1000 RRRSP after riding the bike to 10th in last year's championship with a best finish of 6th. Yates, who won the MotoAmerica Superbike Cup last year with 7 straight wins to close out the season, will also race in Stock 1000.
Sheeby Racing owner Steve Sheeby fields Brazilian Danilo Lewis, the Superbike Cup Championship runner-up, on his tried-and-true BMW S1000RR that was ridden to 18th in last year's championship. Perennial fan favorite Max Flinders will once again be racing his signature yellow thrashed bike racing Yamaha YZF R1 in the 2025 championship, hoping to improve his 16th place finish in last year's title chase. 6 Yamaha YZF R1s are entered in the series opener, and one of those will be raced by FLO for Law /SBU Racing's Benjamin Smith, who fell just 2 points shy of a top 10 championship finish in 2024.
Bryce Cornaboo, Bryce Prince, will lead his 2-man team in the opening round of the 2025 MotoAmerica Superbike title chase, where he will be joined by Dion Campbell. Edge Racing's Josh Waters will ride one of the 4 BMWs entered in the opening round. Ditto for Edge Racing's Jesse Ruling, with Joseph Giannato set to ride the Limitless Racing Honda CBR 1000 RRRSP.
Last year's MotoAmerica event at the picturesque park was round 2 of the 2024 MotoAmerica Superbike Championship. This year, Barber moves up a round and becomes the series opener. Unlike last year, the Superbikes were raced twice and not 3 times. Cameron Beaubier may have crashed out of the race one on Saturday last year at Barber, but he bounced back to win both of Sunday's races for his second and third wins of the season after just 2 rounds and 5 races. Cameron Pearson, who was moved to the Super Sports class for 2025 with the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati team, was the winner of the race that Beaubier didn't win in Alabama last year. With his 6 victories in 2000, now has 65 career Superbike wins, which puts him second on the all-time AMA Superbike win list, 17 victories behind the all-time leader Australian Mike Mladen and his 82 wins.
Matt Mladen is also the Superbike win leader at Barber Motorsports Park. Mladen had 9 victories at Barber from 2004 to 2009. Josh Hayes and Cameron Beaubier are tied for second on that list with 7 Superbike wins in Alabama. This year's race will mark the 23rd consecutive season at AMA Superbike racing at Barber Motorsports Park. Aaron Yates and Curtis Roberts won the first 2 AMA Superbike races held at Barber in 2003. Cameron Beaubier earned pole position for last year's 3 Superbike races with his lap of 1 minute and 22 seconds. The 5-time MotoAmerica Superbike champion was joined on the front row by Frenchmen Laurie Baz and Jake Gagne, with those 3 the only riders to crack into the 1:22.
Superbike lap record holder at Barber Motorsports Park after lapping a best of 1:22.035 seconds in qualifying 2 in 2023. He also holds a race lap record of 1 minute 22.463 seconds, which he set in race 2 of 2021. Yamaha leads the way with most entries for the Superbike class opener with 6 YZF R1s entered. Honda is second with 5 CBR 1000 RRR SPs. As I stated, unfortunately, doesn't look like Camrie Caruso will be with us. Tour. Hopefully she'll get back to me soon. She might be here, so we're going to keep going for a few more minutes and see if she's able to dial herself in or not. Should be really good, though. I think there's a lot of stuff going on this year in the NHRA. We've talked a little bit about it on here. So it should be a good time talking to her and seeing what's new. If not today, hopefully in a couple of weeks. Because as I stated, next week we're going to go ahead and basically turn it into an entirely preview of the Formula E event there at the Homestead Miami Speedway. News conferences plus highlights of other things going on and the future of that series in the 2025 season. A little bit of background on some of the drivers and a little bit of highlights of some of the teams to watch out for this next weekend there in Homestead. Now, it's going to be a really good weekend of racing there in Homestead. The events start on Friday. They've got the events there actually seem to start on Wednesday with a little bit of behind-the-scenes things. On Thursday is their full media day, which I did have the opportunity to go to. Friday, I'm going to be there in the morning for a behind-the-scenes tour of the Jaguar team, and that'll be interesting. And as well as some roundtables, some of the drivers and sponsors. So I'm going to go ahead and record that, and that will be posted not only here on this program in a couple of weeks, but also on my YouTube page. So be sure to check that out. I'll have links to that listed on Facebook, and I'll be posting them as well on check that out there. But I'm looking forward to that. It should be really good. And of course, on Friday afternoon is their first practice. That's a later practice in the afternoon. Be sure to check that out on the website for Formula E. You can look that up at Formula E Miami. There's information there. Saturday is a full day of events there at the track. Starting at 7 o'clock in the morning is when the track gates open. First practice, then qualifying. They've got a bunch of different musical acts going on there. And that sort of thing, which they had for the Formula E race when it was here 10 years ago. So it'll be cool to see if that's a little bit different. But also they've got a big midway section with all sorts of displays and events, video games, that sort of thing, all related to the Formula E series and the future of racing. Be sure to check that out. I believe there's also manufacturers' displays which is kind of cool. I haven't seen all those manufacturer displays for the new Formula E cars before, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And they've got a um, electric lounge set up. That's their VIP section, which I should have access to next Saturday. Looking forward to seeing what that's like. All that is available for purchase still. Be sure to check out the Formula E Miami. Looking that up online through your favorite search engine, you'll be able to find more information there. So, should be really fun. Should be a good time at Homestead. Looking forward to seeing how that goes. Haven't been down to Homestead Miami Speedway in a couple of years. Didn't get a chance to go last all, but I did get a chance to go a few times the previous year. Should be good. Should be cool to see how it goes. Should be cool to see how how those cars are as compared to the Indy cars, which have been there in the past, and that should be really neat. Um, I can't really compare it much to the NASCAR cars, although I have seen NASCAR race at Homestead several times. I didn't get a chance to see that this year. I wonder how the speeds are going to be different. We'll be able to see that a little bit, but they do run on the road course and not on the oval track like NASCAR does. So should be kind of neat. This weekend, the NASCAR Cup Series heads out to Darlington, as we stated earlier in the program, for the Goodyear 400. The track length is a 1.366-mile asphalt oval. The time of the race is Sunday, April 6th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, with a total purse of $11,055,250. It'll be on TV on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Deportes, with TV coverage starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. Radio will be on MRN Sirius XM Radio, which is channel 90. The distance of the race is 400 miles, 400.2 miles. That's 293 laps. Stage 1 ends at lap 90, Stage 2 ends at lap 185, and then the final stage ends at the end of the race, which is lap 293. The NASCAR Xfinity Series also races this weekend. It'll be at the Sports Clips Haircuts VFW Help a Hero 200. That'll be held on Saturday the 5th. That start time is 3:30 p.m. Purse there is a little over $1 million. $1,651,939 to be specific. TV will be on the CW at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. CW coverage, but it should be good. We'll see how that goes. Radio will be on MRN. Again, at Sirius XM NASCAR, channel 90. Distance is 200.8 miles there, 147 laps, with stage 1 ending at lap 45, stage 2 at lap 90, and the final stage at lap 147. Do you think you'll have a chance to watch any of the NASCAR racing this week?
I think so, especially, I don't know. This show is very informative. If I just listen to the show over, then maybe I'll remember when the NASCAR races start and I'll be able to catch them.
There you go. Hopefully, um, that's that's kind of our goal is to keep you informed on when the racing series take place and when their times are. Um, Again, I haven't really seen much coverage on the CW. I know they have it. I know you can't really get it on the app yet, which is kind of, to be honest. But you can't watch it live on the CW, and I hope they're able to put it on their app soon. So that could be interesting. I did watch some of the Amazon covers they've had of practice from the NASCAR race. That might be cool to see that. I can't wait until the future when they actually have a little bit different announcing team there for that, because right now they just have the normal announcers they've got for all the other NASCAR races. But it would be neat to see if they change that up a little bit. I know in the future they're planning on it.
How was that
It's going to be
though? How
covering
was
some
it?
races this summer. So
How is streaming with Amazon? Is it different?
not really. It's just like what that's kind of the issue with it. I think it's just like watching it on Fox. It's just a different way of seeing it. Um, it doesn't really have its own flair to it. I think they could make some really big adjustments if they want to, but right now it just seems like they just sort of took the Fox onto the Amazon Prime, and that's okay. But it isn't anything special, and I think it could be a lot better. It could be a lot different. it might be in the future. There's different ways of doing things, and I think they're sort of caught up in their one way that they've done for many years, and I think they're just trying to expand it that way, and it's working a little bit, I think, but it's not really anything special. It's good to have the practice and qualifying there on Amazon though, because it's been more than a few years since they've had any real coverage of that, so kind of neat to see.
Are
Hopefully, you have a
there
chance to watch the. Mhm.
sorry, what? Commercials? Are there a lot of commercials when you
No,
stream with Amazon?
no, not
Yeah.
at all. Not really at all. There's a couple, but nothing really compared to what there is on Fox.
Yeah, there's a lot of commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are just like constantly like rerunning.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have a habit of doing that, especially during the if they've ever got a rain delay and that sort of thing. I think that Fox especially gets into the habit of just rerunning commercials, rerunning segments, rerunning all different sorts of things, and it gets old after a while. And I think that's kind of what I'd change if I was going to be the if I had any say in that. I'd end up with more segments and just try and change it up a little bit more. Um, you know, it's on there. It's good to be on there. It's good for things. I think it's definitely um, it's good if you're interested in it. But if you're just sort of a casual fan or whatever, it kind of gets old after a little while, and I can see how that could be a problem. Um, if you look at IndyCar, for example, IndyCar the past couple of races, IndyCar St. Pete was really really good on the ratings wise, but the race wasn't exactly the best race. The highlights of it, as well as the replay of it, um, and that kind of carried over to the Thermal Club race, where the ratings were okay for the beginning of the race, but it dropped off really really bad by the middle of the race. It was less than half the amount of people, half the amount of share that they had for live racing as compared to what they had for the St. Pete race. So this will be an interesting year for auto racing. Every year is interesting in terms of ratings and all that. But I think there's a lot of stuff on there. It's not as easy to find necessarily as it used to be. You have to look for it more, and it really depends on whether people feel like looking for it. And I think and they have to be interested in it. And it just hard to keep your interest if you have a lot of other stuff going on. And that's the issue that all auto racing has to deal with. And sometimes they get right, sometimes they don't. Depends on depends on the area and all that. So a lot of factors in the air. That'll also make it interesting for next week, going down to Homestead to see how many people show up for the Formula E race, because I know they haven't advertised it as much as I would have thought they would have, especially up here, considering we're only 90 miles away here in the Palm Beaches compared to Homestead. I don't know if they're advertising more in the Homestead market in the Greater Miami area, or if they're advertising it in Broward. In the area, they might be, but and they've been doing a lot of online advertising, of course, and they're doing a lot of stuff, reaching out to me and other people to try and increase interest. It's a great thing. It's fabulous. But we'll see how that goes. See how many people show up and how crowded it is. I'm hoping it's not insane, but I'd like to see a good mix of people. If it was about the same as the amount of people who were at Sebring, or maybe a little bit less, that would be good. So it should be good. Um, Hopefully, you get a chance to see some of the Formula E race. I honestly do not know where the Formula E race is being broadcast at. I will have more information on that next week, of course. But it should be really, really interesting race. Formula E has always been interesting. They've had it's more of a sprint style. The race is less than an hour long. From the green flag to checker flag, it's just a little over 45 minutes. So should be cool. Should be racing. And as I stated, next week's show, we're going to have a lot more information about the teams. We're going to go ahead and give a listing of the starting grid if we're able to find that, and I think we should. Have a listing of the starting grid. Have a list of some of the sponsors. And again, have a chance to hear from some of the drivers, if not live, then recorded. And I am really, really trying to get at least one driver on live next week. That'd be awesome. Because I know several years ago we were able to talk, 10 years ago now, in fact, we were able to talk to a bunch of the different drivers from the Formula E first Formula E pre Miami event there. So it'd be cool to see if we're able to get some of those drivers on. I know a few of the teams are the same as they were 10 years ago. There's been a lot of changes, but a few of the teams are the same. A few of the drivers who are involved, a couple of them are still the same. So it'd be really cool to get a chance to talk to some of those guys. I hope we have a chance to get at least one on the program next week live, but if not, we'll have at least 3 interviews we're going to be about next week. So that should be cool. Should be neat to see. Really looking forward to it. Again, unfortunately, our guest tonight was not able to join us. I am not sure why. She's not reached out to me yet. I will try and reschedule her for sometime in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see how that goes. So we'll see how it goes. Should be really good to talk to her, Camrie Caruso. Again, I'll go ahead and reach out to a couple other people in NHRA ranks as well, and try and get possibly a good group of people to talk a little bit more about the Wide Nationals. Are a really awesome way to do drag racing, and I wish they had that at a few different tracks. I know they only got right now in Las Vegas and in Charlotte, but it's a really neat thing, and hopefully we get a chance to talk to a few more drivers about that too. If you're a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner, maybe you're just a huge fan of the sport, contact us, get your spot on the show. After all, you deserve your 15 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. Easiest way to do that right now is to go to Thursday Night Thunder Podcast.com. That's Thursday Night Thunder Podcast.podbean.com. There is a contact link down at the bottom of that page. Easiest way to get in touch with us, easiest way to schedule is to get through there. So, what other exciting racing news is going on in your neck of the woods out there? I know that there was the motorcycle event there in Seattle this past weekend. How was that?
Well, I only got updates from home, so for me it was great, but for them it was pretty cool. I know they had a good time, and it's typically a pretty good event. It's very weather. I mean, like all racing, really, it's just very weather dependent. And if the weather's bad, you're probably not going to have, if you're me anyway, as good of a time as if it was, 60 degrees. So that's just kind of what sucks, is you have to hope that the weather is going to be good, and then it'll be a good night of racing. And lucky for them, they got some really great weather, and the racing was good. They got to wander through the pits. They said that they didn't get to kind of go to as many teams as they would have liked, because there was probably, well, I don't know, I wasn't there, but they told me there was a good couple thousand people just in those pits alone. And so they only got to make it to a couple people, which is still very cool. I think that that's really great. And I've went through the pits there, and it's pretty crazy. It's amazing to think that they pack, that many people through those pits, just like kind of like a little underground kind of area. So it was cool. It was cool. They had a really good time, and yeah, they had a good time.
Yeah, I've always thought the Supercross it's kind of neat to see on TV. Most of the time, it's really neat to see live. Again, there are certain tracks that are better than others, but it's pretty good thing. The pit area is amazing. When you're able to walk through and get that close to the driver, it's sort of a similar thing to the to the NHRA type thing. Not quite as open, but pretty close. So it's pretty neat.
And I would like to point out that it didn't cost them an arm and a leg to go watch this event. I mean, as far as like, tickets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But to walk through the pits, they didn't have to buy like an additional ticket. All you had to do was bring a monster can and they let you go walk through the pits for what they called the Fan Fest. And I think that that's pretty cool. It costed you a $3 monster that you also got to enjoy if you're into that, and you got into the pits. And I think that that's really neat.
It is. There's other series could definitely learn from that. The pandemic, I was able to go through the Supercross race, and I figured even with all the restrictions and that sort of stuff, Supercross did a great job of getting people in and out and around. A lot of space, a lot of amazing things to see there. And as you stated, the cost is really good, especially for families and that sort of thing, and for budget conscious people, really awesome. So there's other series that could learn a lot from that. Formula E is pretty good price wise. Other series not quite so much. Okay, is okay price wise, but not for every event. Um, so Daytona you can get in pretty well. Sebring's a lot more expensive. So that's how it goes. And if you don't want to mention price for Formula One, the 1 day tickets that I got for the Friday in next month are a little bit. They're probably the most I've ever spent for a racing ticket, and hopefully it's a good. It's a lot of stuff to see. I'm looking forward to it. It's my first time hanging down to a Formula One race, so it should be good, no matter what. Yeah, definitely a little bit of a chunk of money, and I got a heck of a discount too. But it's definitely an investment for Formula One racing. They run their own thing. They do their stuff their own way. But those drivers are amazing. But I don't think they're in their own way. They're not any better than the people who race Supercross. They're definitely not better than the guys who race in IMSA. They're not better than the guys who race in Formula E, and they're probably not much better than your average guy you see on the end racing anywhere in the country. They just they charge more because they can, and it's just the way it is. Um, I know in this day and age when the economy's starting to shift a little bit, people are going to have to make changes. They're going to make decisions of how they're going to go, what they're going to enjoy. Uh, so not only Formula One but other racing series, they're going to have to sort of find the happy medium, find a good balance, and what they can charge to make it they're worthwhile, but also make it worthwhile for people who come for the and see the races, and that's the $1 million questions, where how much is too much, how much isn't enough, and it's a tough question, but I think that I know the Supercross does a good job with it. I know the NHRA does a pretty good job with it, and I know Formula E does a pretty good job with it. So we'll see how it goes. It should be an interesting time for the next few years, seeing how the economy shifts and how the entertainment, because with the increase in streaming and all that, is going to change the fact that people are looking for different entertainment options, and how live events work, and how racing itself works will be changing a little bit, and it'll be something to see how it changes. I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be good, but we'll see. We shall see. So, always something. And with that, be sure to check out past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder, as well as the other shows on the Speedway Digest Radio Network, if you can find them, by searching for your favorite search engine. This show on Facebook by visiting facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder. Listen to previous episodes of this show at Thursday Night Thunder Podcast.podbean.com. I also invite you to check out my YouTube page at youtube.com/FABORPLUMBS. There, you can find not only the past episodes of this show, but the past episodes of the Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder. Some of the ones we did on Podbean are listed there, as well as a couple of shows on Blog Talk Radio, although those are harder to find all the time now. So Be sure to check that out at youtube.com/FABORPLUMBS. I also invite you to check out my new racing news site at motorsportsnewsandviews.wordpress.com. I put out 9 articles on Sunday, I believe, there. So be sure to check that out. I'll be putting out almost as many, if not a few more, this next weekend as well. So E will be going on there. A lot of other racing news as well, and some NASCAR stories which I have working on as well. Be sure to check those out. In addition, if you're a fan of South Florida and who isn't, be sure to check out my latest news and information about this slice of paradise at my travel blog for Warplumb's Fantastic Finds, which you found on Facebook, on Twitter at PB Happening, easiest way to find that, and by heading to forwarplumsfantasticfinds.wordpress.com.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing.
Thanks again, and